Hello everyone, this is Ange. Welcome to another episode of the Visual Novel Monthly Recap, this time talking about news related to November of 2024. A fan translation has been released for a classic Alisoft game called Galzu Island. It appears to be a monster tamer type story set in a fantasy world, which is typical of most Alisoft titles. It seems to have some gameplay elements reminiscent of the Rant series. This game reportedly contains some non-consensual H scenes in a style similar to Rant's as well. 7 years ago, Libre of the Vampire Princess was released with an official translation that received a lot of criticism. The developers promised an updated retranslation sometime in the future, and finally in November 2024, they have indeed released it. The delay was reportedly due to financial difficulties after their attempts at shipping out all the Kickstarter rewards. They also announced that there will be a decensor patch available through Faku, which you can obtain for free, but you must create an account on Faku to access it. The Alchemist of Ars Magna was released on the Nintendo Switch. This is a visual novel developed by Ninetale, generally known for the Venus Blood series. Ars Magna appears to be a typical fantasy visual novel with some gameplay, focusing on alchemy and featuring a storyline that apparently involves an apocalypse caused by gods of the calamity or something similar. I did see some complaints about the surprisingly really high price point at it being $80 on Nintendo eShop, and that's because apparently the Switch version has Japanese language option. This contrasts the Steam version, which is half the price. I think the general reason for this is Japan's way of preventing reverse piracy, as visual novels tend to be much more expensive in native Japan, and they don't want people in Japan having to pay for less through just creating an alternate account to pretend they're in another region. For Otome fans of the original Verse Evermore, released by Otomate and Axis, they just released the fandisk Verse Evermore Epic Lycoris. I believe the original Verse Evermore had a notably dark and depressing story, but this fandisk reportedly offers happier endings for the main love interests. Hikari Field has released an English translation for Select Oblige, the newest title by the Morige company Madosoft. It features an interesting premise where the main character, Nagi, and his surrogate sister, Tori, apparently live in the slums and receive an invitation to a big shot school. But don't be fooled, this still very much follows the typical Madosoft rom-com style. Unfortunately, I have heard and seen very mixed reviews about the translation, which may or may not have been partially machine translated. Many people claim that the translation and editing feel rushed, possibly translated or edited by someone whose English is their second language. Additionally, people don't seem to like Select Oblige as much as previous Madosoft games like Wagamama High Spec and especially Hamadashi Creative. Make sure to take these factors into account if you're interested in purchasing Select on Steam. Tensei Games announced that they will be translating a visual novel called Akizora Memories. This seems to be a nakige, or a dramatic sci-fi slice of life story involving the spread of an illness. Shinzo Translations released an English fan translation of the trial version of Sosaku Kanojo no Renai Koshiki, a visual novel developed by InnoLinks, a sister company to Akabe Soft. Having personally participated in the QC testing of this patch, I can vouch for its readable quality. The trial version covers approximately 20% of the total game and effectively showcases the potential slice-of-life drama and heroine routes. The common route is chapter-based, focusing on one heroine at a time with interesting twists around characters developing their creative skills such as novel writing, visual novel writing, and voice acting. The romance drama feels unique and compelling even at the beginning. You can obtain the Japanese trial legally from the original developer's site and then apply the English patch. The full version is expected sometime in 2025. The developer Aqua Plus announced 2 visual novels, the first being Jasmine. This is a game that Aqua Plus originally planned to develop over a decade ago but has now decided to resume development. The scenario writer from Keys' Planetarian is involved in the project. They also announced Urawareru Mono Shiro e no Michi Shirube. This appears to be a new main title in the Utawareru Mono series. It seems to be a sequel to the Monochrome Mobius series specifically. While details are limited, it's likely to feature similar gameplay and story style similar to the original trilogy. One of the oldest eroge dating sims, I'm talking released in the late 90s, is getting a remake. This time it's the original Two Heart 1, originally developed by Leaf and Aqua Plus. This newly announced remake appears to adopt a more modern art style and even incorporates 3D CGI apparently. It is currently announced for a release on Steam and Switch, so there's a decent chance it will receive an English translation when it launches around 2025. It looks like November is the month for announcing remakes, as another classic old-school romance visual novel, Da Capo 1, is getting a remake as well. Unlike Two Heart, Da Capo Remake has not previewed any of its art yet. During that same stream for the Da Capo Remake, it looks like Circus is now dedicated to getting all the Da Capo games on Steam. For reference, there are currently 5 mainline Da Capo titles, but only Da Capo 3 is available on Steam through Manga Gamer. There's always a fine line in story-heavy gacha games regarding whether they qualify as visual novels or not. However, since Heaven Burns Red is heavily tied to Visual Arts Key and Jun Maeda, I figured it's worth discussing. The official English release of Heaven Burns Red is finally available on PC, iOS, and Android. Based on what I've heard, as expected from Key and Maeda, you can anticipate a lot of typical Key comedy and Nakige tropes. Additionally, there are several Angel Beats cameos, including characters who receive arcs that weren't able to be explored in the original Angel Beats anime or visual novel. Shirobune has announced Hentai Prison, which they are shortening to Henpri on Steam to avoid being banned. It's a visual novel developed by Krupo, the developers of the Nukatashi series. This is one of the highest rated visual novels on Edo Gamescape, Japan's VNDB, and apparently features an engaging, unique story about a prison break where the main characters are locked up and are big perverts. The visual novel seems to be slightly less comedic than Nukatashi, with a high emphasis on battle of wits, at least according to VNDB tags. Shirobune also announced Holy Valkyrie EX Tia Concerto 1, developed by Lusterize. It features an eroge starring a magical girl, continuing a trend in the genre where the main heroine potentially faces grape by monsters if she fails on her mission, aka bad ends, a narrative pattern seen in basically every magical-themed eroge besides Destiny's Star Girlfriend and Sakura Moyu. A DLC called Roses for My Love for the Otome visual novel Even If Tempest was released. The only thing I know about it is that it features 3 stories for each main love interest, if I'm reading correctly, but that's all I know. Manga Gamer has released the fandisk for the Otome game Steam Prison, titled Beyond the Steam, available on both Steam and the Manga Gamer store. The fandisk appears to feature 2 primary stories, the Cain Abel story, which takes place 2 years after the original game's true route, and a new theory story where the protagonist confronts systemic injustice in her world. A Steam page opened up for Love Live Nijigasaki High School Idol Club Tokimeki Roadmap to the Future, a visual novel that will be developed by Hunex and published by Bushiroad. This is a visual novel that takes after the anime of the same name, Love Live Nijigasaki. Interestingly, this is going to be a very rare case of a simultaneous international release of a visual novel in both Japan and the West at the same time, so that means I don't have much information about it besides Steam screenshots. A fighting game called Aquapazza Aqua Plus Dream Match is coming to Steam by Shirobune sometime in 2025. For reference, this is a fighting game that stars characters from various Leaf and Aqua Plus titles like White Album, To Heart 2, and Urawareru Mono. It's also worth noting Atlas first released this game in English way back in 2013 on PS3, so I'm guessing this is just going to be a touched up PC port of that. Mages hinted at it before, but it's great to have official confirmation for the remasters of Never 7 and Ever 17. These 2 titles, especially Ever 17, are among the earliest works of Kotaro Uchikoshi, known for his contributions to the Zero Escape and AI The Somnium Files series. These first 2 titles in the Infinity series played a significant role in establishing Uchikoshi's reputation in the sci-fi and mystery genre. It looks like Ever 17 is going to be a remaster of the 360 version script, which had new and updated scenes some consider controversial or worse compared to the original PC version. Thankfully, this remaster is using upscaled sprites from the original PC version instead of the goofy 3D CGI models used in the original 360 version. This double pack is set to release in March 2025 for Steam, Switch, and PS4. According to the Switch page on that site, it'll feature English and Chinese translations as well. The Steam page is not up yet as of this video. And that wraps up news for November of 2024. As always, if you have any feedback, positive or negative, feel free to leave a comment below or on one of my social medias. A huge shout out to my recurring editor, The Local Weeb, but also everyone who continues to support me through YouTube memberships and Kohi. But I want to give a special shout out to the newest member, Rotkel, who just joined this month. Much appreciated to all of you.